64, my unit mutinied. And I'm sure they would have been very happy to get rid of me. But unfortunately, they couldn't get anything. Lakini huyu Mdolo, tulikuwa tumekosana na watu yake. ASK show Nairobi 63. Mzungu, kuna mzungu alijaribu kumpa mimi amri. Nikasema, wewe ni kama mimi. Kama unataka hiyo vitu ifanyike, so wewe mwambie huyo, kwa nini unamwambia mimi nimwambie huyo? Yeye akaenda jiaga, mimi nikaenda yangu. Wazungu, najua wale wanakuja pombe kwa showground, ni wazungu tu, generals yote kutoka wote ni wazungu. Sasa mimi naenda safishia vikombe ya nini? So wewe safishie wenzako.
Wait, at Independence, that's 63?
63, yeah.
They ask an officer to go wash just because
of course, I mean, no. You see, in the army there is a hierarchy. So I'm a second lieutenant, he's a lieutenant. Nataka mimi nihakikishe classes wakati wakubwa wanakuja majendo wanakuja jioni iwe safi. Nikamwambia si wewe mwambie askari. Kwa nini unamwambia mimi? Of course, ilikuwa si ukaidi tu yangu, ilikuwa ukaidi ya bure. So Ndolo was the only African commander at the time. He was the only captain in the army. The rest of us were all lieutenant, including Mulinge. We go by Christian name. Hello Jack, I say hello Daudi. Alafu, in fact, after that show show of 63, they became majors, lieutenant colonel. Tukasema saa mpaka saa mara mbili, saa mara so wakaenda. They went into stratosphere. Were promotions. So anyway, Ndolo was a captain, like my OC was also Mzungu captain. He had a second lieutenant Mzungu, na sisi tulikuwa Afrika. So huyu Mzungu akajaribu kunimba amri, mimi nikakataa, nikaenda. Jioni wakati wenzake wanakuja they rushed around. Hakuna mtu alipeana amri, hakuna mtu alisupervise. Na mimi najua nimefanya makosa kubwa, hata sikuenda kwa sapa, nikalala. Kesho nikachelewa kutoenda breakfast lakini wakangoja mimi mpaka nilipofika, hata sikuketi chini. Mkubwa yangu Captain Mzungu akanichukua. Yule namba 2 ilikuwa ya Ndolo. So Ndolo akaona huyu kijana mzuri. Kumbe anaweza so wakati mutiny ilifanyika that same few months, 63 hiyo nikakuja my first leave na hiyo Land Rover. Kurudi mutiny ikafanyika. Ndolo akawa chairman. So wakati wazungu wanajaribu hata wakati niliingia unit wakasema huyo mzungu alipewa to raise a new unit because he could trust an Africa. Akasema ataki mimi kwa unit yake. Ndolo akaulizwa Ndolo kwanza Mulinge, wewe unataka huyu officer? Ndolo Mulinge akasema bana sitaki huyo. Ndolo akamwambia wewe unataka huyu? Akasema yes, lete kwangu. So I got a second reprieve for life in the military, 64. I went to Ndolo. I came, we were in the NET. The new unit had got mutinied and they had been disbanded, and the remnants were sent to Nanyuki, where I followed and found this other Mzungu, who told me, nilipofika usiku akamwambia kesho saa 3 usionekana hapa. Report back to la NET. Alafu wakati mimi nimechukua handover kila kitu, nimeenda kwa adjutant, akaniambia usiingie huko kabla ya saa 9. Niondoke kabla ya saa 3, nisiingie huko kabla ya saa 9. Anyway, nikakuja kufika hapo FTC saa 7. Na nisiingie, so nika park on the side of the road and slept for 2 hours. Alafu baada ya hiyo nikaingia kikosi unit, my whole mess. Nilipofika kwa adjutant office, nikapiga salute, Mzungu anaangalia chini, anaandika na kushoto. Akaniambia si wewe unajua hii mahali? Nikamwambia najua. Basi kwenda tafuta mahali ya kulala. Kesho saa 2 hapa. Nikaenda. Saa 2 mimi nafika huko. Still a young officer, you see, full of energy. Hata salute yangu inaweza kata mtu. Akaniambia kaa nje huko. Nikasimama nje standard is. Basi akakuja kamatch mimi kwa ofisi. Nikakuta ndolo iko huko. Piga hold mzuri, piga salute na kusikiza. Akaniambia kaa chini, kaa chini kwa CEO, that is never hard. Nikaendelea kusimama. Akasema keti chini. Mara ya pili kweli anataka mimi keti chini. Mara ya tatu nikasema you must mean it. So nikakaa chini. You never was in military. You don't sit in commanding officer's office. You stand at attention. Basi akaniambia hebu angalia shoulder, nikamwambia afande iko moja. Basi akaniambia kama unafanya kazi namna najua itajaa kabla ya hii mwaka kuisha. This man must be cheating. Any question? Afande nikapiga salute nikatoka. And he actually meant it. So that was June of 64. August anyway, I knew my second pip was coming. So, lakini haikukuja, ikacheleweshwa na wale wazungu kwa Nairobi. And it is always written in the, kama mtu is not doing well, anaweza kuwachiwa mwezi moja bila kupewa rank. So nikapoteza hiyo. September anyway ikaja. So mbili ikaja September. That's not going to be easy. But on 12 December, nikapata ya tatu. Ile maneno ndola ilisema ilikama. Unfortunately, and it took me up to major. Unfortunately, 71, sijui what he did, I was in Canada doing my staff college. Nasikia ametolewa kazi. So my godfather akawacha. Sasa yule alikataa mimi 10 years ago ndio yuko as a kiti. It was rough. There are no Tonje rules. There are no Tonje rules. Just like that education, you see, people knew all along that I was for education. I wanted people to do better than they are. And wherever I went, I made sure that things were better for people I commanded. The people, that there is something that you add, there is value that you add. Everybody needs to add value to himself and to whatever he's doing all along. So I suppose that was my brand. I branded myself as the future. You know, I was looking, they always said I was looking 20, 100 years ahead. And you know, whenever we discuss, we don't look at 5, 10, we look at 25 years, 50 years, 100 years. So I was always challenging my fellows to look further ahead. In whatever they do, start looking 25 years from now and then walk your way back to where you are and then go forward. These things you can only do what your bosses say. You only push as much, but not to the extent where you disagree with your bosses. You push to the limit, always push to the limit, test the limits. What is allowable, what is not allowable. And you do that. So they knew me right from those early days, from 63, that I am a person who pushes everything to the limit. I test, I practice. Even cadet training, I put, once I got in there, and luckily, as I was saying, General Sawe was my boss, I was allowed to experiment with all sorts of combinations, permutations in terms of training. How can we get the best out of this raw material from outside? And at one time, you know, the last lot, I would go change the syllabus, see it, do it practically, go always with the troops, and I went with that lot. I had 2 intakes in charge, intake 9 and intake 10. Intake 8 was somebody else, so intake 8 and 10, and then I accepted 11 and 12 into FTC. So 8 and 9 were my intakes, which I personally drove to the end and commissioned them. They all became generals. Intake 8 only one made, but it was but my intake 8, 9, and 10, including the last one who went, Kibochi. And at the end, I assessed them as being fairly good. And I told them, if you maintain this tempo, which I have seen in you now, and I expect to see many generals out of you. So one time when they were promoted by, I was here at home, they were promoted by Kenyatta, and they looked around, there were 15 of them, all the same intake. That's never heard of, unheard of. So they looked around and said, hey, do you remember what Tonje said many years ago? So then I, of course, I left that field of training for training officers. I went into training staff. I became the founder of the Defense Staff College. Got that off the ground. Then I was also given the National Defense College. I got that off the ground, and then of course luck was with me when that. Of course, this fellow called Muhammad didn't want me by an inch, and we actually belonged to the same unit. We should like each other. We should love each other, because that's the idea of when you are in the same battalion, you are members of the same family. But we never got on very well with Mohammed, and at one time I think he wanted to get rid of me. So the staff college also gave me a new challenge, and they're going strong. While not forgetting my education, so when I got to become the chief of the general staff, I got in touch with my fellow Tugen, called Gipton. He was vice chancellor of Egerton University. So I asked him whether we can work out on a distant learning for my officers. So I got a new program for everybody to do distant learning, but I went low. I started with certificate, then diploma, and then degree. And my intention is that by 2012, nobody should go beyond commanding officer without a first degree. So I got that program going. And then so education was taken care of. Education of my officers was taken. Eventually, I managed to get something through, but because I was the boss, nobody. And Moy was good. I mean, Moy never interfered with us. We did allowed us to do whatever we wanted to do. And so while there, I got rid of a lot of unhealthy things that were going on in the military. Like every 14 days they would go, and there was a pay parade. People would go to receive their money on the table, and in the evening everything goes to the bar. So I said, Havana, this is not on. Let these fellows get paid like everybody else. Besides, they should also buy their food. So whatever was given as ration, I added to their salary. I opened up that people should be able to stay outside. Opened up more places for house allowances so that people can live their lives. There was never enough married quotas, so let them go outside. So I opened all those. So my soldiers for the first time got salary in their bank. So that was the biggest. They like me up to today. 20 years later, they still like me for that.